This Shabbat will lead directly into the holiday of Pesach. Tomorrow night, we'll sit down at the Seder to remember the story of the Exodus from Egypt for the 3,333rd time. One of my favorite Passover memories is the year as a young rabbinical student that I went with my friend Naftali to help the Chabad rabbi in Honolulu conduct his communal Seders. And I recall the night before the Seder, we went down to Waikiki Beach to help him kosher a restaurant that he had rented out to convert into a communal Passover Seder. And we spent the whole night koshering a kitchen of a restaurant after it closed at midnight. And the name of the restaurant was the Crab Catcher. On the night of Passover, 150 Jews in Hawaii gathered at this restaurant to celebrate the most beautiful holiday, bedecked in holiday clothing. Families gathered in this transformed restaurant to celebrate with the matzah and the maror and the 4 cups of wine. In the middle of the Seder, we ran out of shmura matzah. And the Rabbi Krasniansky, asked me if I can go over to his hotel room just a few blocks away and bring more shmura matzah. As I'm walking through the streets of Waikiki Beach with all the tourists in their Hawaiian beach wear, I was walking with my suit and my tie, heading to his hotel room to get the matzah, when I hear Hebrew and a couple walking towards me say, Chag Sameach. I look up, I see a middle-aged couple dressed in Hawaiian shirt and shorts, and they're greeting me in Hebrew, Chag Sameach. So I say to them in Hebrew, Chag Sameach. And I ask them, it's the night of Seder. Why are you here in the street? Why aren't you at a Seder? And they said to me in Hebrew, unfortunately, we were supposed to catch a flight today to California to be with our family in California, and we missed our flight and we got stranded here in Hawaii. And they said the words in Hebrew, V'po b'Hawaii ein klum. And here in Hawaii, there's nothing. There's no Seder here. So we're stranded without a Seder. I looked at them and I said, here in Hawaii, there's nothing? I looked up, I said, you see that restaurant on the corner? I said, right now there's about 150 people conducting the Passover Seder in that restaurant. And I'll never forget their shock when they looked up and they read the name of the restaurant. They said, Efa, we're a crab catcher in the crab catcher. And I explained to them, yes, we koshered it, and now it's a beautiful Passover Seder. I said, why don't you come with me and I'll take you and you could celebrate Passover. He said, but look at the way we're dressed. We can't go to the Seder looking like this. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to a hotel room to get matzah. Where are you staying? They said, we're staying a block away at a hotel. I said, you go get dressed for the holiday. I'll meet you back here in 20 minutes and I'll take you to the Seder. And that's what happened. I went to get the matzah, they went to get dressed, and I met them on that corner and I took them in to the crab catcher. And I'll never forget their shock when they saw the room filled with people singing Dayenu, eating the matzah, and they sat down and they enjoyed the most beautiful Seder. And when they left at about 1 o'clock in the morning, they turned to me and they said, we've had Seders throughout our life every year in Israel. He said, but this will be the Seder we'll never forget. And I think that this story encapsulates the whole message of Passover. We live in a day and age where there's a mentality of victimhood, of grievances. Everyone looks at their circumstances and has something to complain about, and blames their life's misfortune on whatever their circumstances are. As a matter of fact, there's a term today, you could look it up, I couldn't believe it, it's called affluenza. And that's the defense against someone's behavior that's due to their social status of privilege and good fortune. That's right, today, it's not only if you were born on the wrong side of the tracks that you could claim that your social status caused you to lead a life of bad decisions and choices, but even if you were born on the right side of the tracks, you have something to complain about. And indeed, in Texas, in a 2013 case, a young teenager who was driving under the influence, his lawyer successfully used this defense of affluenza, blaming his driving under the influence due to his social privilege and wealth and success, under the influence of influenza. And Passover stands as a strong rebuke and statement against that mindset and mentality. Passover says God created us to be free. We can never blame our circumstances. We can't say, well, due to this or due to that. No. Seek and you shall find. Work hard and you shall succeed. Don't blame your circumstances. Don't blame your upbringing. Don't blame others. Look within yourself and take responsibility. And that's why Passover is the bedrock, the foundation of all Jewish holidays. The Exodus from Egypt marks the birth of our nation, because the most important message, the most important lesson that human beings and Jews must learn is we are our own masters. We are not slaves to Pharaoh. We only have one master, which is God. And because God wants us to do what is good and righteous in this world, He enables us and empowers us to do so. And if we don't, we have no one to blame but ourselves, because we were created free and we have the ability to live based on the dictates of our own good conscience and mind. And we can never point a finger towards others, but rather we have to take personal responsibility. They tell a story in the 16th century. There was a Jew who was imprisoned by a feudal baron, and for whatever reason he said to this Jew, I'll let you go home to your family one day a year. And he wrote to a great rabbi at the time whose name was the Radvaz, and he said, I'm allowed one day a year to return to my family. Which day should I choose? Should I choose Yom Kippur? Should I choose the night of Passover? Should I choose the first night of Hanukkah? I'm allowed freedom for one day of the year. And the Radvaz wrote back to this Jew and he said to him, take the first available opportunity. Pesach teaches us freedom is accessible, and it's accessible right now. As we sit down at the night of Passover, let us internalize this lesson and lead a life not of victimhood, but rather of empowerment and strength.